All right. Hello, everybody. This
It
is
it
Nigel
still
Lee.
says off air.
Um, this is Nigel Lee, and I'm hosting the first radio talk show on students for political activism.
你好，
So, our topic for today will be the presidential election as a whole. But before we begin, let's go around and introduce the people in this call right now. So let's start with Aaron.
Hello.
And then we
Is that all
got
I'm supposed to
Alan.
do?
Yep, we have Alan. We have Josh Graybill, Kai
Hello.
Suharwan, Nakul, Prakrit, and Rahul.
Hey Lamau.
So,
What
so
language?
all right. So once when I wake up and I see the headlines and what's going on in the presidential election, the first thing I see are rape allegations, drug, this drug scandal that Trump has started up, and it's kind of got to me to wonder: is this the first election that's gotten this bad? And I want to put it out to anyone who can answer. What are your thoughts about the election as of right now? Is it getting out of hand? Um, uh, is this to be expected in the 21st century? Is this the repercussions of social media having a role in politics? So I'll just open up to the floor. Of course, be as diplomatic as possible. Do not interrupt. I will time speakers, 1 minute per speaker, and I'll let you have some overtime. So, anybody, you have the floor.
So, can I?
Yeah, go ahead, Kai. Yeah.
On the role of social media, definitely it's been more prevalent this election, and that can be both a good thing and a bad thing. Firstly, there are many sites that would like to push forward agendas and like make up. So I use the word make up because not many, but a lot of things I see today online are either misconstrued, misquoted, or plain out false. Like I'm not only saying it's coming from both sides of the political spectrum. Can be coming from liberals, can be coming from conservatives, and even though social media is able to put forward ideas faster and people are able to be more informed about these about politics, it also comes with a risk of things being falsified or misinterpreted.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to, in the event of these rape allegations, does it influence your decisions, or anybody in this call right now? Has it influenced your thoughts about Trump? Has this drug allegation, has that influenced your decision in support of Hillary Clinton?
Well, firstly, if I can address Kai's claim, he said that made up info by the news. I don't think many of them make up a lot of info. I think they have bias when they make the info. There's slight incorrect statements, or they project one side. Like they'll say everything bad about Trump, but they won't say anything bad about Clinton. I think that's more what's actually happening. I don't think it's more much made up info. Second thing is the risk of social media. I think what's actually happened now is not only is there more social media being used by the people, the electorate, but then there's also a lot of social media being used by the leaders, or not the leaders, the people who are running. So Johnson, Stein, Trump especially, even Clinton and Sanders, they all used a lot of social media, and that actually impacted their campaign. For instance, if you look now, like Bernie Sanders just lost some drug company like $400 million, like on the spot, because he said something on social media, and their stock went down 15%.
Right.
So,
Okay.
So I think the social media aspect is first gone more to the campaigners rather than the actual electorate.
Right.
And
correct. Yeah.
I think to add on to that, sorry. I think to add on to that, I think it's connecting a lot to the youth because social media is predominantly used by the youth, and it's getting, I think, under 20, but like not under 20, but new voters, and like basically urging them and encouraging them to vote, which has been a problem recently for a lot of Democrats, especially because a lot of the youth tend to vote for Democrats. And I think with all this social media coverage, a lot of young voters, even Republicans, even Libertarians or Green Party members, they're all a lot more they're a lot more open about their political thoughts, and they're more open to vote, which I think is a lot better in some ways. I think that's a positive use of social media in today's context.
Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, Rahul, you've been wanting to speak.
All right. I wanted to actually answer the question about the whole rape allegations thing.
Yes, yes.
It didn't really make that much of a difference to me. Like, I already knew that Clinton was kind of bottoms the barrel. Trump is kind of bottoms the barrel. So, like, in terms of like scandals, in terms of misconduct, in terms of bad policy, that was just like a bit of icing on the cake to me. Like, I never really bless you. I never really supported Trump or Clinton to begin with. That's just my take on it as a very elitist Gary Johnson supporter.
Right. Okay. So we have a Gary Johnson supporter in this call. Now, Josh,
Nigel,
Aaron, go ahead.
So, I want to like truly answer this question from my point of view. I think the president needs to be someone that, as their name implies, presides over our nation. The president is someone who should be a role model for us.
Right.
But
yes, correct. Yeah.
Rape allegations, taking that into consideration, they're so like just up in the air right now. None of these claims have been backed by any legal action, and there needs to be some substance behind these claims before they can be taken seriously.
Yeah,
yes,
I could accuse Nigel of raping me right now. And
all right, okay. So in terms of other than that, let's talk about, I just wanted to put it out there because I want to see what you guys think about that. But let's actually talk about policy. Let's talk about what.
Can I make a statement on the rape thing?
I think it's best we move on from that. And we have a new caller here. We have Leland Jones. Welcome. Hello, Leland. Okay.
I heard him bang the table. I think.
Yes. So let's talk about policy. So Kai Suharwan, I know you're an avid Trump supporter.
Not avid, but
I know you're quite a outspoken Trump supporter. So I just want to know what policies do you support, especially in relation to immigration and a foreign policy. I mean, I want to know because I have a much more bias towards looking at presidents from an international view because I'm not an American citizen. I want an American president who will produce proper and pragmatic foreign policy as an outsider. And when it comes to Trump, he speaks of his secret plan in dealing with ISIS, and how is that a substantial solution to the conflict in Syria? Yeah, go ahead.
So foreign policy-wise, I choose Trump over Clinton because I feel like his foreign policy is more friendly and more less isolated than what Democrats and Clinton and Obama has.
Really, is that true?
No, I think not. I'm using the term isolated. Wait, sorry, my brother's calling me. Could someone take over this?
Okay, I'll take over. So basically, the first thing you said about ISIS, Trump actually made a statement about ISIS. He said that that he wants to partner with Russia because he knows that there's no point funding the rebels.
Did he actually say that? When did he say that?
He actually did. He said that he'd like to kill off ISIS with Russia, and that he hopes to get along well with Putin.
That doesn't make any sense though, because as we see here, Russia is not attacking the same quote unquote ISIS that we're attacking. We are clearly not working together in Syria. And
exactly.
Just recently, Russia has given us a moratorium on bombing.
Of course, we're not working with Syria because this is Obama and Clinton's policy. That's of course we're not working with Russia because at the end of the day, they want to achieve their own get rid of dictators, although it doesn't actually achieve anything. Like Syria is not going to come and nuclear bomb us. So I don't know what they want to achieve. Syria is also not going to send some terrorists to the United States. So what are you going to achieve? Instead, you better prioritize instead of trying to achieve everything because the U.S. always thinks they can achieve everything. They've achieved nothing.
Nigel, can you repeat your initial question?
So my question was in regards to Trump's foreign policy, or both of the candidates' foreign policy.
Both?
And
Sir, please.
So if you guys have anything to say about foreign policy, please jump in.
Sorry, I'm back. Sorry about that. But I used the wrong term. But I think while listening to what Prakrit was saying, that's basically the idea I was trying to get across. Because I feel that what Clinton and Obama did, like for example in Syria and Libya currently, I think that we should have a different approach to it, and it shouldn't be what we did in Libya by taking over, destabilizing someone who at least was stable and replacing them with someone with not even someone that we. It was a quote. It's I'd rather have a devil I know than a devil I don't know.
I said that, didn't I?
No, it's from it was a conversation I was having with a friend. It was a quote. It's I'd rather have a devil.
Can the person who just joined use headphones that like gives feedback?
Yeah, it's Shay. Yeah.
Yeah, just a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nish, turn off your video.
So all right. So when it comes to how social policy, for example, Trump has spoken openly about this antagonizing Muslims, minorities, while Clinton has, though, has pushed for more open policies. What are your guys like criticisms of Clinton's policies?
Okay, first
Both
of all,
domestically,
I'd like to point out that Hillary Clinton is not a nice person when it comes to social issues. Like we saw from the yes, I was going to that. We saw from the Podesta email leaks that she is actually still against gay marriage. She supports the constitutional amendment, but she doesn't say that in public because obviously that would not let her win the election.
Like most politicians have personal beliefs and political.
But
actually,
no matter how bad she is, she didn't boast about sexual assault on a very public forum. Like that's like a whole different level.
Oh yeah. She only enabled her husband to do it instead. Much better. All right.
They're not the same person. Are you saying that Hillary Clinton controls what Bill Clinton does? Is that what you're saying?
They're not the same person. That's the dumbest argument ever. You can't.
Well, by remaining in a relationship with him, would you not say that there's some accountability? The way that, and besides, even regardless of what Bill Clinton did, what Hillary Clinton did was to those women who came out and said, "This is what Bill Clinton did. This was wrong. He made me feel uncomfortable." She pursued them and ruined their lives. That was not okay. It is misogyny, and it's not something we should be looking for from a president. That's my personal opinion, and I think a lot of people believe that as well.
So now we have the Glenn Jones here. Is he there?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so we're talking about this whole rape allegations that have been put out by Trump and also allegations towards Clinton. I really do want to move on from this and really talk about policy, but I guess I want to hear your thoughts about that. Do you believe that Trump is responsible for all this? And if so, what are your thoughts about that in general?
So my entire thoughts on on all of the allegations that have been put by both candidates is that I look at if you want to look at how you should vote, okay? If I'm to look at how I should vote for the president, I would say if you are supporting Trump, if you're a Trump supporter, you should also you should go forth and say, okay, he is the lesser of the two evils. Okay, you can say this. He's the lesser of the two evils, and I think the lesser of two evils logic still applies to this situation. You can think that without supporting the things that he's done. For instance, if you are to say you support Trump, you should also come forth and say, I do not agree with talking down on women. I do not talk about I do not support rape, obviously. And same with Hillary Clinton. It's beyond me that any feminist would ever support Hillary Clinton. It's beyond me that really, how can you support someone who has been has denied the Bill Clinton sexual assault cases? Right. All right, how could a feminist support her in that instance?
And has also defended rape.
Back to regards with Donald Trump. If you support him, you should also take responsibility for what he said. And I think both candidates should take responsibility for the things they both said, and make sure that the voters know that, you know, I can support Trump, or I can vote for Trump without supporting him, I guess is what I'm saying. And I could also, like, and that's why so many people are pulling their
Support.
Support.
Right,
Yeah, people are pulling their support because they're saying, you know what? No, I don't stand up for what you're saying. I might still vote for you, but I don't stand for what you're saying.
But
I think-
isn't the point of a vote is to support what one is saying? Isn't that the whole point of voting?
In
And when it
previous
comes,
elections, debatably.
Well,
Right.
I think Rahul could probably make his comments on this, but I think a lot of people are ignoring the Libertarian and Green Party candidates. I think
well, for
I think a
good
lot of-
reason, right?
Just like always.
It's a waste of a vote.
So
Gary
please,
Johnson's not a good
Niche, please.
libertarian.
no.
Okay,
Here's the
and
thing.
Ron Paul is. Give me a break. Ron Paul is like the biggest like conservative.
I'm not saying I agree with Ron
ultra-conservative
Paul. I
nut
don't
job.
think Gary Johnson's a good libertarian, personally.
Sorry.
I don't think. I'm not saying that Rand Paul's a good candidate. I'm just saying
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul. Sorry.
Well, it was Rand and Ron.
Well,
both.
then
Yeah, I
again,
know,
is
but
Donald
not
Trump a
which one.
real Republican?
Not necessarily.
No.
I don't believe.
So I mean,
No,
like
Donald
there's-
Trump, excuse me, Donald Trump is not a true conservative. I hold to conservative values, and Donald Trump does not represent any conservative values. He is not a traditional conservative, and I do not side with Donald Trump. I am a conservative, and I believe in conservative values, and Donald Trump is absolutely against all of that, and that is why I would not vote for Donald Trump.
Okay, so, so wait, so are you a Trump supporter or not then, Glenn?
No, I'm not a Trump supporter, nor am I a Hillary supporter.
Okay, okay. Now let's move on from this whole scandals and whatnot, and I really genuinely want to talk about policy. What are some policies that you support of the candidates, of the two candidates? Let's try to stray away from the third party because I really want to talk about the two candidates here. Alan, are you there? Alan is not there. Okay. Anybody?
Alan.
Anybody want to talk about certain policies that they support?
Well, if you
why don't
tell- if-
can you give us the subject area?
Yeah,
Start
give
with?
us the subject. Yeah.
Anywhere.
I don't even know if
Oi.
I don't even know if the candidates know what they support.
I certainly know that anything Clinton says she supports, she probably doesn't.
Wait,
But
can
it
y'all
does-
hear me
I
now?
don't- I'm not
Yes.
sure if that
Hello, Alan.
matters.
Yeah,
Wow.
Alan. Do you wanna add in anything?
Well, let everyone else go first.
Okay.
We've already gone.
Can we just make a statement to not have direct attacks at any candidates because that's just
Yeah, I feel that
Not gonna-
this should be much more intellectual than it
Yeah.
is right now.
Or then
Now-
a debate, or then the presidential debate.
Now let's talk about in regards to immigration. It is a very hot topic, especially at the very start of this race right now. So, what are your individual's thought on immigration, and how does that channel over to supporting certain candidates out there in the field?
Okay. Who wants to?
Okay, well, for me,
Okay.
like Donald Trump is the person who actually brought up the illegal immigration issue. Like no other candidate did it. No other candidate has done it in the past, and Donald Trump is the one that actually brought it up.
Yeah,
That's saying is this policy effective?
his solution is completely ineffective. Building
No,
a wall
I'm not
is
saying
unfeasible.
I'm not saying I support his solution. But first of all, you have to give him respect for that. Secondly, his solution has good intentions, but is stupid.
What is his solution?
His solution is to build a wall. The building a wall part doesn't work because most illegal immigrants overstay their visa.
That's
Yeah,
that's
how
not
did-
that's
how
not-
did they-
it's actually not
that's not the
factually
reason.
correct.
Well, yes, it is. 75% of all immigrants overstay their visas. That's 70% of all illegal
So,
immigrants.
so I like Clinton.
Hey,
Clinton
let me
doesn't
ask
actually
you,
have a
do
policy.
you support stronger borders?
Me personally,
Yes.
Yes, because of
Stronger
drugs.
border
I
security.
do. I believe that we have to be stricter on illegal immigration.
No. My
That's-
question is, do you believe in stronger borders?
I do because of drugs. Millions of pounds of millions of pounds of drugs come to America through our Mexico border, killing American teenagers and adults.
Right,
And
but wouldn't you say that that's something more of a drug issue?
No, it's not. Because
They're
About immigration.
intertwined.
Clearly
About
said,
immigration,
do
not
you
drugs.
think that we need to change our
But
border or something like that?
the
And
people
answer
who are
is yes.
Let me
illegally
just-
immigrating
All
also.
All right,
Okay,
one at a
calm down.
time. One at a
Calm down
time,
here.
everybody. One at a time. Glenn, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. So if you look at it, it is an irrefutable fact, you can look this up right now, that there are thousands of people crossing the United States-Mexico border every single day. Okay? Do you support stronger border security? Yes or no? You can answer that question when I'm done. Also, the ICE, the Immigration Custom Enforcement Agency, the ICE, is the first ever time that they have ever supported a presidential candidate is Donald Trump. Do you know why? It's not because he wants to build a wall, but it's because he wants stronger border security. Okay, perhaps building a wall, maybe so.
But
how can anybody? Do you lock the doors at your house at night? Yes. Why? To keep people out because they don't belong in your house.
Okay,
Why is
to
it
be fair,
anything
we all
from
live in
letting
Singapore.
people
I don't lock my doors.
Right.
legally letting people come in? Donald Trump supports that. If you want to come in legally, and this is what his real stance is, and you can look this up as well. He wants to secure the borders first, and then he provides a pathway to citizenship and grants some amnesty. But you cannot do those things simultaneously because that will not work.
All right.
I
Oh, before we go on, do you guys know this poem by Robert Frost called "Mending Wall"?
Oh my goodness! Why do you
Right.
bring up literature?
So it goes. This is an excerpt of it. It goes, "Before I built a wall, I'd ask to know what I was walling in or walling out, and to whom I was like to give offense. Something there is that does love a wall, that wants it down." So, in a sense, you know, what are we genuinely
Your voice is making me hard.
are we genuinely
Please stop.
Are we genuinely protecting America, or are we, trying to parry away from what the actual issue is, right?
What's the actual issue?
No, that's why I'm trying to ask, you guys.
In my opinion, just because you build a wall doesn't mean that they're not going to get through. They're going to find 100 different ways to get through, and it's not the most effective solution, in my opinion. In my opinion, we need to work together with the Mexicans to have a more efficient way of letting them in, because it's not true that they're all just committing crime. They're
Justin Choi.
All right. So we have a new caller here, Justin Choi.
Hello, friends. Oh my goodness.
We can see your face. So.
Wait, sorry, but wasn't sorry, I have a question about Trump's idea about the wall, but it's about stronger borders. Like, I think Nigel was talking about what was it, the straying away from the idea, like the wall is straying away from the idea, but the real idea behind everything is not the wall, it's the idea of stronger borders.
I think
so here's the thing. You need to figure out whether or not, as America, we're walling out Mexico, or if we're walling ourselves in. I think the production of a wall and just putting it up against Mexico shows that we are trying to be isolationist again. We are trying to become a nation that is self-dependent, and not just self-dependent, but self-reliant. We don't need any other country, and we're not going to use any other country to be great. And now that doesn't mean we don't cooperate, and this is what Trump's stance is largely. Trump believes that we need to be strong by ourselves, but we can help others and use others to make ourselves even stronger.
Right, but is that possible in the 21st century? I mean, in such a globalized world, how feasible and pragmatic is it to reverse to an isolationist policy?
I don't think it's
especially for a nation like America.
It's never worked. And
all right, Justin, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. So when I first watched Trump's videos and all that, I thought, oh, maybe this guy had some good ideas. But I realized that in the 21st century, especially if you're America, you can't just go back to that isolationist, nationalistic views, because America's on the forefront of globalization. They're always leading. They can't act so, they can't act so selfish. You know what I mean? Trump is trying to incite this, quote unquote nationalism for Americans to stand together as America, make America great again. But America should be the one, and in part of the fact that makes America great is that they're always intervening, and they're the ones, and obviously there has been negative effects over the past few years, but in a general stance, America's the one that's always leading things together, and they're connecting things all together. If America stays selfish,
1 second, Nigel. Could you please increase the amount of people that are allowed in the call?
That's not possible. That's limited. Sorry. Yeah.
I just think that Trump's views are too selfish and it won't work. And here's
the thing, Justin. I totally agree with you, and Trump is definitely kind of abandoning the interventionism that America has set a precedent for. But what I think he understands is that full isolationism is not a possibility in today's world, as we've already discussed.
He is an international business.
Wait, I have a question.
Exactly.
So you guys are talking about Trump's policy. So I don't actually know Clinton's policy on immigration.
I think we should just talk about that. Like, why don't we know her policy?
I think because a lot of people, I think Trump's Trump's foreign policy is a lot more extravagant, but Clinton actually supports physical border protection if necessary.
This is coming from the new WikiLeaks email release, but it's from her speeches. I think that she talks lots about open borders, and many people have been. We still don't know if this is true yet because some stuff coming from WikiLeaks may be.
Yeah, she hasn't gotten back to me yet. I'm gonna call. Give me a second.
Oh my
god! Oh, my mic was on.
Might be wrong, or might be it might be wrong. So, as we were saying, talking about Clinton's stances on borders, it could be, like she said, a few years ago.
LGBT.
No, like
she
doesn't
want to change much.
That's like she says about a few years ago, like the fence. She wants a fence, which is she said practically a wall, or she's for open borders. So we don't really know.
Well, actually, in a speech, she said that she's actually, like as you said, she's okay with a fence and certain physical protection. But what she really wants is a lot more technology involved in the border, and a lot more. She wants security. She believes that border security is an important issue, but she's more for technology and more sustainable practices instead of wasting money on a wall, which I think is actually quite understandable because it's a lot more effective, and in my opinion, it's a lot more modern for the 21st century.
So
So in regards to in regards to isolationism and open a more welcoming policy towards globalization, both candidates are actually against the TPP, but many people say that Clinton's actually not genuine.
Many people do not know what the TPP is.
True. So of your understanding of the TPP, are you guys for or against it?
I'm against it.
Okay.
I'm also against it.
I'm personally against it.
Well,
why is that? Why is that?
I think the
I think let's let other people speak. So, why are you guys against the TPP?
I'm against it because basically after reading it screws America. It screws America over, and it only helps the Asian countries. I'm against.
So we have a new caller. We have Sakya, but he's not wearing any headphones. I muted you for a second there, so when you're ready to come back with headphones, you can unmute yourself. Okay, so in regards to TPP, so yes, in a sense, it does favor countries other than America. In fact, might even steer away jobs. But I think, why is that the case? Why is that the case that American jobs have been outsourced out of America?
Because it's cheaper. That's all we have to say. The cost of people is why America is not making our iPhones. When you can pay people in India or Pakistan or China basically nothing, then obviously we're not going to pay more for it. It's not a very complex issue. If we were to lower the minimum wage, which is a whole other issue that I really don't think we should get into, but we would see many more jobs coming back to America. I'm not talking about corporate jobs. I'm talking about manufacturing jobs. The reason that we became an industrial revolution in this country is because we had the resources when nobody else did. But then back then, we didn't really have to pay anybody other things because of child labor was a big thing. But it's not like it's benefiting them because it can benefit them. It can't. Nothing's going to make America so we have people building iPhones and your TV set in America because that just simply won't happen with America's policies currently.
Mm-hmm. But I think one of the main reasons why manufacturing jobs has decreased is because the government has placed less investment and importance on manufacturing jobs instead in the financial sector, right? And it's because they place more emphasis on the financial sector
because that's what makes us money.
Exactly.
Like, so we don't have most of our GDP coming from
exactly.
So
it's
I
just
mean,
literally
is that a smart
transporting
decision
money.
for them to make? Is to not invest in a sector that you could define as dying in America if it's not already dead?
But is it possible to revive it when in the end we are competing with China, we're competing with other Asian countries, and especially Europe as well? How easy is it for America to bring back jobs, as candidates always say?
And
But
here's the
Nigel,
thing.
do we? Sorry.
Go, Saka, go.
But do we need to focus on manufacturing? I mean, there's so many other industries where we can create.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So why are we placing why is there such a big debate on manufacturing jobs in America? Why is it of importance in today's world?
The focus needs to shift from manufacturing to the tertiary sector and more services rather than manufacturing, because we can't I'm not personally American, but there's no way America can compete with India in terms of the pricing of the jobs and whatnot, like for the cost of production.
That's true.
Because
and the people in America don't want to work low-paying jobs. We've become so accustomed to a standard of living that just cannot be accommodated through a job that pays $1 an hour. Like that's
of course they're privileged, right? That's the whole
right. So even if we were to try to bring production back into America, people wouldn't want to do it. I mean, we see it with illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants are coming in and doing the jobs that we don't want to do as Americans. They're filling farming jobs. They're filling industrial jobs.
And they're not getting paid minimum wage, also, which is kind of playing into the fact of our extreme compared to other countries job restriction, job laws, labor laws.
So I don't think any amount of policy, no matter what it is going to be able to change a mindset, and a mindset for a whole country. I just think, honestly, no matter which candidate we have, that's not really something that we can change.
Right, because Trump always talks about how he's going to make laws to keep American business working and stuff. But honestly, let's just be honest. Like a lot of American business has failed. You know what I mean? Like nothing other than Apple really. Like they can't compete with anything. Literally.
I think the way to go for America is small businesses and smaller businesses on a way larger scale, and promoting smaller businesses, because the fact of the matter is they can't compete when it's manufacturing, and just the price of labor in America is too high for them to compete with any country like India or China, and they need to make a shift.
Now, to move on from economic policy, one of Trump has always been saying law and order, right? So in regards to that, I mean, I can understand why Trump can appeal to people who are concerned about security in America. And yes, there is a crime issue in America, and it's been evident over the past decades. Now, in your opinion, which candidate do you believe has a more practical policy towards decreasing crime in America?
What is Clinton's stance on crime?
I think in the debates they've actually come to quite an agreement on dealing with crime, right? Clinton's talked about community policing. She's also talked about stricter gun regulations. In fact, Trump even has talked about and advocated for more
Nigel, I'll put
regulations.
Right. If you want.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, so both of the candidates, after watching the first vice presidential election, debate. Sorry, both of the candidates actually came to basically the same agreement. They both agreed on community policing and lowering the crime rate, and their policies for doing that were very agreeable with each other. They actually didn't really contradict themselves. Well, I think that if you want to lower the crime rate, then they should really focus on community policing is a top priority.
So in regards to stop and frisk, Trump has promoted that, and evidently in New York that was noted as to be unconstitutional. Do you think that he can come up with a policy that's relative to that can go around certain loopholes to be more stricter on crime.
Was that effective? Do we need it?
It was effective. It lowered crime rates, but a lot of people argued it was racist because, I mean,
because
if you're a cop, you're a white cop, you have stop and like whatever it's called, search and frisk. Who are you gonna stop? You're gonna stop Latinos. You're gonna stop Black. You're gonna stop Muslim-looking people, right?
Yeah.
So of course,
statistically though,
yeah, statistically it did lower crime rates.
Right. Yeah. But so in the end, is this a systemic issue in America, right, with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, or is this a racial issue, or is this a social issue? It's an economic issue. Precisely.
I think it's systemic.
If people don't have money in the African American community for some time, and the kids like they don't have anything to do on the weekends, like they're just going to be outside, and then they're going to join gangs. Or if they don't have fathers, because then they feel a sense of family in a gang or a cartel, then they're going to join a cartel. Like we're focusing on racial issues in America, and there is racial issues, but that's stemming from socioeconomic issues that have been in place since slavery was abolished.
But a lot of police brutality which has occurred has been against not gangbangers, but just normal American citizens. I mean, they've been doing their thing.
Yeah, unarmed Black citizens.
Because statistically they're more likely to commit crimes. I'm not saying that's right at all, because I do not believe that is right. But I'm saying if you look at it from a police officer's perspective, let's say that you know that there's a guy that may be Black, for example, that if there's 100 of them, they're much more likely to kill you than a white guy or like an Asian guy, then you're obviously going to pick him to attack per se, because it's not about racism. It's just about patterns of crime in America. Which I think stem from other issues that may involve racism, but I do not believe police brutality is racist. I just believe that the problems that cause it could be racist.
I think that's also an education problem.
Nigel, as far as your regards to it being unconstitutional, under the Fourth Law Amendment, the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, it requires that police, if they have a reasonable suspicion that a crime has been, is being, or is about to be committed before stopping a suspect, if the police has reasonability to suspect that the person is armed and dangerous, they may conduct a frisk, a quick pat-down of the person's outer clothing. That is a quote of the stop and frisk law. And if that means that we're getting criminals and we're lowering crime rate, a quick pat-down, and it is very constitutional, as you can see in the Fourth Amendment.
The Fourth Amendment clearly reads that
it requires
the Fourth Amendment says the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause. Right, and so that means
is statistical evidence probable cause? Like that question has to be answered.
Oh, right. Yeah, I
think that's interesting.
Josh is also, he's talking about how there's a socioeconomic problem. It very much has to do with the socioeconomic status, has nothing to do with the system being racist. And if a police officer that the person is armed and dangerous, then it is absolutely constitutional for a frisk, which is a quick pat down of the person's outer clothing.
You know, we can't afford to make our police officers scared of being aggressive against someone who they believe is dangerous to the society. We can't take away their confidence in doing their job. Instead, we have to give them more evidence and more intelligence and more help to help them do their job, which would give them more confidence.
I have a question for you guys. Do you believe that police officers in America should have to wear body cams? Because that kind of answers all of those questions. Because if they're wearing a camera, then why should there ever be an issue?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. There's no bad side to having body cameras. It only helps in law. It only helps in understanding like how police officers operate. I think there's only benefits to it. I don't see any real negatives.
Issue would be money though. It's pretty costly. I have a question though. Do you guys think it's racist if like a black cop, for example, shoots a black man down, or if a black cop asks a black man to show their weapons? Like, do you think they will consider that racist? Because I'm not a Trump supporter, but I agree with one thing he says that I think Americans need to take like notice into now, is that people are so sensitive in 2016. They need to stop being so politically correct, as Trump puts it, I think. Because, like, as I think Josh said it, Joshua, that statistically speaking, right, these crime rates are higher for certain types of people. And while you don't want to be racist, and it could be controversial that it's against the Constitution, like, I just think that people need to stop being too sensitive about some topics. Like, it's just gonna protect her, you know. It's gonna be better for at the end of the day. If everything stopped because it's racist or if it's not politically correct, like, what advancement can America make in the long run?
So I think a lot of that's just trying to pass off blame. Where, like, as a nation, we're kind of, as a nation, but America is trying to, and people of the world really are trying to put the blame onto other people. Like, if you can call out someone as being a racist, if that can become their motivation for doing something and not actually the person's fault, that we're going to seize that opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So in regards to this PC culture that has been kind of taken just really increase in popularity over the past years, is that beneficial to American society? It seems that the group has a sentiment that it's not beneficial in American society.
Well, I think Donald Trump just blows it way out of the water. There's one thing with saying that, technically, statistically, black people are more likely to commit crimes. There's a whole different thing in saying Mexicans are rapists. We need to find a line in between where I mean, yes, offending somebody, like, if I was to call somebody, like, I can offend somebody and still be true, be factually correct, and I think that's where it runs into a problem, because Americans are afraid to be right because it might offend somebody. But yet again, I do not believe that we should just go on spouting whatever opinions we have that are completely false and ignorant, because that doesn't really benefit anybody.
But isn't it up to the person listening to you, or up to the people who are watching, to inform themselves whether what you are saying is false or right?
Well, I mean, I do believe it is their responsibility, but I think that's not really going to be an issue. I think that we kind of just blew it way out of the water, and I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue, because it obviously needs to change. People are not going to just stand around trying not to offend anybody, because that's just not how we live our lives in America.
I have a question for you guys. Do you think that the police should be held more accountable for their actions and be prosecuted more?
No.
Only if there's probable evidence to.
If there's substantial evidence, then yes, I think.
But what about a lot of the cases where a lot of policemen have been clearly, like, they've clearly not done their duty correctly?
They go to jail.
I think there should. That's the thing. They don't.
I think that's why legislation is necessary. Legislation is definitely necessary. Like, if you look at the Eric Garner case, there was clear, like, breach of police conduct.
What happened to Eric Garner?
He was choked to death.
Okay, and what happened to the police officer?
I'm pretty sure no indictments happened.
We can't have police officers being afraid of touching somebody and then getting arrested.
They should be afraid if they do something that is not within their bounds. They should obviously be afraid that they've done their job wrong and killed someone.
But I think those grounds are hazy in America. Yeah. And if we could have lives being lost because police officers are afraid to pull their gun or afraid to jump on. Yeah. The police officer did not know the man had asthma. Like, he was resisting arrest. The police officer should be like, well, he's obese, he has asthma, he has all these respiratory problems.
Suppose you have to wait because of that. Even if you don't have asthma, choking someone to death is against police conduct. He even lost his police badge, and I'm pretty sure he was fired from the law enforcement for not following police conduct.
Should he go to jail?
That's murder. That's a clear case of murder.
But I mean, was this man resisting arrest?
Yes.
Yes. So what was he supposed to do?
So is resisting arrest now death penalty? Does that warrant a death penalty?
No, not necessarily, but here's the thing.
He was like a 500-pound man who had asthma, and it doesn't take much to choke that type of body, that type of person out. Like it's not like if he's struggling on the ground, the police officer's not going to stand up and be like, well, he's fine. I'm not going to risk choking him out because he's trying to get out of my chokehold. And he was a repeat felon. Like you have to take the whole situation into your perspective. Because you can't just say.
Right. Okay. So I feel that we've gone a bit really off tangent from what the original topic was, and it's good that we did though. I mean, I felt that it's yeah. I think we should. Let's talk about taxes. So Trump. So Clinton has talked about more taxes on the rich. Of course, typical leftist policy. While Trump has said decrease taxes, and in fact reinforce this trickle-down economics that Reagan pursued during his tenure as president. So which do you guys think will work better, and historically which worked and which didn't? Feel free.
I think who wants to go ahead? I'll go next.
Go for it.
Right, go for it, Nishay.
All right, so I think that Trump's, even though I think that tax cuts should be made, the drastic rate at which he wants to cut taxes while maintaining public spending is ridiculous. It can't work. He wants to invest $500 billion into the army while cutting taxes by like approximately like $3 billion, like crap loads, and that simply won't work. Our GDP to, I think, debt ratio, there's a certain number, it'll go too high. And I think even though I don't agree with what Hillary's doing, I think it's more feasible in the long run than what Trump wants to do.
So here's what I think personally. The tax plan has to be backed by policy in other forms of government. Just to take these tax plans as isolated events is not a logical conclusion. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Trickle-down economics can work if we change the overall state of the economy, if we become a much more consumer-based society.
Right.
So is Singapore, this is just a question. Yeah. I don't know much about trickle-down economics personally, but is Singapore considered a place where trickle-down economics is?
No. As a Singaporean,
because trickle-down economics,
Singapore has one of the highest, is part of that group of countries with the highest Gini coefficient in terms of income inequality.
Yeah.
So Singapore's not. There's no minimum wage.
Trickle-down economics is just stating that if people are rich, people will get better because of that, right?
Yes, yes, and that money will trickle down because consumers put money into the rich, and then the rich will give more pay to the poor. So I mean, trickle-down economics did work in the past, and that was when America was a manufacturing company. So, manufacturing-based country. So the Ford company, for example, when they were manufacturing cars in America, they would make sure that they paid their workers enough so that they could buy their own cars, right? But now with cars being produced in Japan and in China and whatnot, it's these companies aren't incentivized to pay their own employees the money to purchase these products. And that is, Karl Marx coined this term to be worker alienation, where the worker is not able to purchase their own products that they produce, right? And so that sentiment has definitely been created in America. And I personally believe that trickle-down economics doesn't work, especially in America today, right? But of course, as Aaron brought up, if you can change that culture into a consumerist culture that existed back in the past, then maybe. But obviously that's not going to be possible in a more feasible aspect. So in reality, I think what needs to happen, in my perspective, is that the government needs to increase taxes on the rich, while at the same time increasing spending on education, less on defense, creating a more productive workforce so that the people who are getting taxed, business owners and whatnot, are getting the benefits in the end because they're getting much more educated people to work for them, that they're going to get much more more experienced people in the end. And I think that's the better way of looking at it. But of course, this is much more long term.
Does that one question? Sorry, people to move businesses offshore though?
Sorry?
Does that incentivize?
No, and I think that's a good point. And businesses
why
have
are they
been
going to stay in America and get
businesses are getting offshore. Right, correct. Businesses have been offshoring away from America because of these stringent tax laws on them. But the thing is, there has been so many loopholes to allow them to leave that has caused this offshoring. So if we actually close off these loopholes, then we can retain them and keep them in America, and as well incentivize the American people to go out and work, to incentivize them to incentivize them by, for example, introducing a minimum wage. And I mean, Seattle's productivity has increased ever since they raised the minimum wage to $15, right? So in cases like that, I think that works best.
And also, need to prioritize the workers, because Nigel said it just won't work in America right now, I think.
And also, in my opinion, America's not a manufacturing country anymore.
No,
they're
not at all.
They're a lot more. It's not low. They don't look at low skilled labor. They're a very skilled labor country. And if you add education, as what Nigel said, adding education policies and having a skilled labor workforce will incentivize companies to come to America. And I think that's how you build jobs.
But guys, what good is education if no one can afford this education? Over 50% of people who don't pay federal taxes don't pay it because they can't afford to. We can make public education as good as we possibly want to. But the fact is, if these people can't get college educations, then what is the point of doing it in the first place?
Why do you need a college education to build a TV? If that's the jobs we're talking about bringing back to America.
Build what?
Building a TV or building a car.
Oh, but that's the thing. Building a TV or building a car will not happen in America because labor is too expensive.
Yeah, but what jobs are you talking about bringing back then?
It's not only the labor. The technology is so behind. It's impossible to catch up with.
The jobs that Trump is talking about bringing back is coal mining and all of that. The manufacturing jobs in the manufacturing sector, in my opinion, is going to be dead within the next 20 years because there's no incentive for any company in their right mind to produce in America.
Exactly.
And also, with technology involved in manufacturing, there's no requirement for even people. So why would manufacturing be a sustainable approach at getting jobs?
So very frequently we've been talking about what drives companies, consumers, governments to act a certain way. And I feel like in the past, America has been incentivized.
I'm sorry, I have to cut you off for a second, Aaron. Nigel, do you mind if I invite a teacher?
Of course, go ahead.
I'm going to invite Mr. Burrell because...
Oh, is he on right now?
He's online, so I'm just going to send him a quick link.
Okay, well, we're going to end in 8 minutes, so I feel that would be a bit late to add.
Just send him the link to the YouTube video.
Yeah, he can watch. Yeah. But okay, so as we were talking about how do we retain companies within America, right? And let's talk about how Trump and Clinton are going to do those respective things, right? Obviously, the idea of reducing taxes is much more appealing to business owners, but whether that is appealing to the ordinary individual, right, the working class man, is that going to be helpful for them?
Can I just finish what I was trying to say, because I think it kind of answers this question too. I don't really think the economy is going to go away from this just cycle of stagnation that we've been until there's a strong external pressure. In World War II, we had the Nazis. During the Cold War, we had communism. Now, what is it? What is America's economy developing for? Like, who cares?
What are we scared of?
Exactly.
Exactly, and it's a great point that you bring that up, because back in the 50s and towards the end of the Cold War, America invested greatly in its engineering and science and
but are we going
sectors.
into another Cold War? I mean, that could be a whole.
We're more than welcome to move on to that. I mean, but really, if you think about it, right, the war on terrorism, right, is definitely prevalent in American society, and it seems to be America's enemy, top #1 enemy. So,
but it's not even a country. Like what is terror?
Exactly. You can't declare war on an idea, right? You can't declare war on a sentiment. And
did we do that with communism?
But that's the difference, because that was a conflict with countries, right? The Soviet Union and whatnot.
But if we're declaring war on Islam, then aren't we declaring war on Syria and Saudi Arabia? If that's basically what we're doing as America.
Well, I mean,
condensed self.
We're not really declaring. I mean, we're not really in a conflict with Islam, but rather the idea of terrorism,
yes.
right? But it's such a entity that is not concrete, right? Terrorism is not a concrete entity. It's not a nation state. It's not an acting body. I mean, sure, you have the Islamic State, but what can America do to improve its own economy based on that? And if we're going to bring up Aaron's question about how can America progress with an existential threat, right? And I think Trump has done that really well. You know, by talking bad about the TPP, by talking bad about Mexicans, by talking bad about China and all these countries, right? That are so-called taking away jobs from America. I think Trump, of all the candidates, has been doing it well. Whether I think that's right, I don't think that's right at all. But definitely, I think Trump supporters have this right idea and this right mentality to take back their country, right? And whether Trump's policies will actually allow them to do that, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, the take back our country thing has been coming up lots. Like we've seen it in, for example, Brexit.
Yeah, Brexit, for example. Yeah.
Everyone, like this whole anti-globalistic movement that we see, like popping up in Europe, especially.
That's in my opinion, it's a wrong ideology, and all it's going to do is halt the individual progress of a country. Throughout history, we've seen isolationism never works. It's a stupid policy.
Actually, if I'm going to cut you off right there, the Ming Dynasty entered isolationism when everything went to shit, and they actually strengthened themselves.
Yeah, but you have to consider what.
All right, so I mean, if we're going to talk about the Ming Dynasty, right, self-strengthening did work, but I mean, did it work in the long run? No, it didn't.
No.
And America, as a country that did attempt isolationist policies like the Monroe Doctrine and in times during then, did that work out in the end? No, it didn't. And so I think America's, and especially Trump's, policies of isolationism isn't some policies that are fitting for the 21st century.
It's a dangerous one for the global economy because we have a very interlinked economy. The last time we were so isolationistic, we weren't so interlinked. But in today's world, if America goes, oh, I'm going to block trade, or I'm going to have high taxes on all our imports, it's going to be a dangerous world for a lot of countries that rely on the American consumption for their economy to function. So
look at how much the British pound on Google, and look how much it dropped. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's been devalued a lot because of Brexit. The politicians are pushing for a hard Brexit and whatnot. But anyway,
by the way, it's dropped without even Brexit actually happening. Nothing actually happened yet.
We can save another talk show for Brexit, and I would love to do that.
That's why I think.
So we have 2 minutes left. We're going to just move on to closing remarks. This was a good first attempt. There are many things that we have to correct for the next time we do this. So apologies if this topic was a bit ambiguous, a bit broad, but I wanted to keep it broad so that we can get as many people into this event. So we're just going to go into some closing remarks. I'll yield my time to Kai Suharwan to have some closing remarks first. Yeah.
Nigel, can you just structure this, please, so we go?
Yeah, we'll go with Kai, and then Aaron, and then we'll go with Saqib after that.
In whole, I think America's foreign policy needs to change. I don't think that we can't just what Obama has been doing by isolating Russia, isolating North Korea. I think instead we need to sit down with these people and talk to them. And in regards to, for example, Syria, we can't just play whatever we're doing right now and not talk to Russia about what we're doing. We have to be able to find a good solution to whatever we're going. It can be Syria, it can be anything else. Instead of just isolating them and putting sanctions on them, we need to sit down and talk to them. And that's why that's the way I think American foreign policy needs to change.
Okay, thank you. And then Aaron.
You can't expect changing policy to change people, is what I want the main thesis of my statements to be. And I think both candidates are too heavily focused on just trying to change policy with the expectation that that's going to change the world. And that there needs to be some consideration for that.
Right. And lastly, Saqib.
At the end of the day, we can see that America needs radical change. Whether that's in Trump's direction, whether that's in Hillary's direction, whether that's in any direction, the fact remains that we need to radically change almost every facet of America today. Whether it's economically, where we talked about, taxation, manufacturing, whether it's in our education system so that we can empower minorities like blacks. Socially, of course, the black issue comes up again, as well as our police and our law enforcement. There's just so many different ways, so many different directions which America can take, and all of them have their own pros and cons. But something does need to be done at the end of the day. So.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you all for participating in our first talk show. Next week we'll be talking about either the crisis in Syria or Brexit.
Good. Take it away from America.
Yeah, I would love to talk about Brexit. Thank you all for participating on this polarizing topic. And we'll see you all next week. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Nigel.
Bye.